You are listening to Potarium, Book 2 of the Jester's Journey. Written by Kyle Sorrell. Narrated by Nick Plaisance. Published by Four Horsemen Publications, Incorporated. Copyright Kyle Sorrell 2024. All rights reserved. Dedication. Dedicated to my loving parents, Gary and Patricia, my little brothers Samuel and Jacob, and everyone else who put up with my weirdness. Chapter 1. Every star, near and far, waits for us to just reach out and accept them. A lone spirit drifted along on a sunless sea. His mind sat firmly in the strange haze between the waking world and that of dreams. The dark ocean blended with the black night sky, with little else for his mind to focus on beyond the thin line of reflected light marking the horizon. The ocean reflected the sky, and in turn copied its speckled brilliance. From afar, it would be impossible to tell one apart from the other, providing a pleasantly unobstructed view of the universe, if not for the lone soul drifting along the border. Even in the dark ocean's embrace, Cynkz could recall the poem. His mind was as lost and wayward as his body, pushed back and forth against the flat sea waves, yet his thoughts often returned to the cryptic verse. Even in his perpetual soporific state, the poem stayed with him. The soothing waters and twinkling night sky impressed an intense torpor upon him, giving him no choice but to let the world take him where it may. For once, he was completely vulnerable to the unknowable hand of fate. The thin, gleaming light on the horizon reminded him of the thread, its divine, otherworldly brilliance sticking out in his mind like a needle gently pressing into his thoughts. Memories surrounding the angelic twine allowed for images to overlap in his mind. The lavender, night-ridden deserts and forests of Dulrot, the Po and their glowing auras dotting the dark landscape like stars in the night sky, the many animals and birds and their calls and chirps singing from the dark, the stony sentinels who watched over the land, and the rare visits of gleaming, brilliant entities from beyond, the apostles. Memories of his old home faded as new lands came into view. The dark and murky bog, the shifting gray mountains, the yellow haze of the swamp, the glistening black desert, the caustic pink fog, the maze-like forest, the turquoise grotto, and the layered colony housing the Sisters of Elm in the ground below. He could remember the scruffy silhouette of his friend, the imp, leading him to the company of several old, hunched women. Their grayed skin and sharply wrinkled faces did little to hide their warm expressions and strangely affable nature. The bright face of a young woman stood tall among them. Every face had a name, yet for the moment they escaped him. His tongue drew a blank as potent as his mind as he tried time and time again to say them. The sting of frustration sharpened his thoughts, and he remembered something that stood out. The missing Sister of Elm. A name, or a title at least. That was enough to get him thinking of more specific details. The fifth chair, the four sisters, Orla taking the position of the lost Sister of Elm. Orla. Orle. The mysterious woman from Cynk's earliest visions came back into view. He could remember the weight of his strong connection to the woman, who only spoke a single verse to him as far as his memory served. He thought of the missing woman and the missing sister. It helped to force connections between his memories, as loose as they were. Yet the more he tried to think of the enigmatic fifth sister, all that filled his mind was darkness. With little else to go on, his mind resorted to a darkened silhouette piercing the light of his other visions. He couldn't help but think of her departure, why she left, and the effect it must have had. The impact of her one simple decision seemed to cast a great shadow over her sisters, and in a way the rest of Munderworld who bore the consequences of the sisters' trauma. The more he pondered the fifth sister's motives, the more her darkened silhouette pierced the light, its shadow expanding wide over the rest of his mind.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?